Welcome to the ForReel podcast. I'm Michael, and today I'm joined by Derrick, Marty, Mitchell, Zach, and Luca to discuss a David Robert Mitchell movie that has been 65 million years in the making, The End of Oak Street, which is a new dinosaur film starring Ewan McGregor and Anne Hathaway as the parents of two young kids in 1982 who are transported back to the prehistoric era with dinosaurs roaming around the streets and killing a lot of people. So, this is one of the kind of final movies of the summer, something that's kind of capping things off with a bit of a vibe shift, a bit of a refresher. It's a 99-minute, no fat, all killer, no filler romp that I think we, at least most of us, it's pretty hard not to enjoy, in my opinion. But, we'll see. We'll see if everybody's on the same page or if we have kind of a diversity of opinion. So to start, I do want to just kind of get into the overall take and maybe what you guys brought in terms of David Robert Mitchell. For me personally, I really loved It Follows, and I didn't see Under the Silver Lake for years and years and years. I only watched it last year, and I actually really liked it. So coming into this, I was very excited to see it, and it totally lived up to my expectations. I think his direction is brilliant. I think that Anne Hathaway and Ewan McGregor are fantastic in this. It's just pretty much a nonstop string of amazing set pieces, and it's just really, for me, it's very hard to complain about it. I have one kind of major quibble that we'll get into, I'm sure, but otherwise, this is, to me, one of the most entertaining movies of the summer. I certainly like it more than The Odyssey or some of the other movies that have been kind of top of the list. But that's just me. So maybe let's just start with Derrick and work our way through.
So I really loved It Follows. That was definitely my first introduction to this director. I did miss Under the Silver Lake, so I have not seen that yet. But this was kind of just echoing exactly what you said, man. This is what summer blockbusters are made of. This is why you go to the movies, right? It is all thrills, no frills, just a good old-fashioned Amblin throwback romp that is more violent than a PG-13 movie should be. And it just goes there, man. It's just good old-fashioned fun. And I think we need empty calorie cinema, right? I think that's something that some of the worst films have tried to give us this year and have failed. And then some of the best ones are just a little too heavy to be kind of that empty calorie substitute. I'd even call out things like The Odyssey, even Brand New Day, which I think is really good, but I wouldn't call that empty calories. It's definitely trying to do something a little bit more meatier with its characters. And this one is just like, nah, man, Anne Hathaway's your mother. Go fight dinosaurs and survive. And you're just like, yeah, okay. But that's a great 90-minute movie. I love this. Yeah, I had a blast with this. This was so much fun.
Luca?
Oh, man. So when I was a kid, when I saw Jurassic Park for the first time,
like last year, right? When you were a kid last year.
Yeah, I was 5 in 2025. But when I saw the movie for the first time, it just spellbound me. And man, did that happen at the same time here? I've been really pissed off that there have been some quite subpar dinosaur movies as of late. Like, did anybody watch 65, the Adam Driver movie?
Yeah. So rough.
Yeah.
So rough.
And I don't even need to talk about like the Jurassic Worlds. Like we've already beaten that horse to death. But all that's to say is that like I used to be a super huge dinosaur kid, and now that I'm a huge movie guy, my two interests have not collided as much as I want them to. Like we have Jurassic Park. I'll stand on Jurassic Park 2 and 3 being like all right. But otherwise, like, it's just dead air. And I'm so glad that this movie is good. I've been waiting so long to see dinosaurs in a good movie. And to see them used like effectively. Like I think about how Colin Trevorrow said that the Giganotosaurus from Jurassic World Dominion was going to be his Joker, like Heath Ledger. What are we doing? See, I like David Robert Mitchell a lot. He's a very straightforward filmmaker, aside from Under the Silver Lake, which is purposefully obtuse. And yeah, again, like It Follows, STD, sexually transmitted demon. This one, dinosaurs in the street. And then again, Under the Silver Lake is just purposefully obtuse. This is again just another straight shot down the field for him. I absolutely love this movie. And for our listeners at home, take a shot every time we say the name Spielberg this episode.
If you want to die, yeah, for sure. I think, it's hard for me to call a movie purposely obtuse where Andrew Garfield smacks the shit out of a 10-year-old in the first 15 minutes. No, definitely kind of a more down the middle movie from him. But I would dare say that that's a plus.
Oh, yeah.
I think that it really sort of channels all of his best directorial impulses. Zach, how about you?
So It Follows has been a very big blind spot for me. I really wanted to give it a chance before I saw this one, and I just wasn't able to fit it in my schedule. But I have seen Under the Silver Lake, and I think that's one of the best movies of the last 10 years. It's really good. And so I was really excited about this. And obviously, you guys have said multiple times, this, as well as Spielberg, is also kind of like just that Amblin core blockbuster that we used to get in the 80s. And so the concept of that made me very excited. And in terms of my overall thoughts on the film, I was incredibly surprised. I had no idea they could still make blockbusters like this. And I'm just very happy that a blockbuster like this is in the movie theaters right now and people can go see it. And I hope that it becomes a proper blockbuster and people go.
Mitchell?
Yeah, it's interesting that Luca kind of mentioned the Jurassic Park sequels because that's where my mind went as well immediately when I was watching it. Because I kind of enjoy them. I think they're kind of dumb fun in a sense. But I think the thing that stood out to me about this movie in comparison to those is that with those sequels, and to an extent the first one, the second one, third one in specific, you're getting rampant dinosaur like anxiety. Like you feel like you're being stalked the entire time, right? And I think that's something that a lot of dinosaur movies lately have kind of lost in terms of like portraying these creatures kind of like dumb, lumbering. Sometimes they like disappear for large portions of the movie's runtime. You're like, where did they go? Whereas this one, everything just feels like you're being stalked the entire time, right? And I think that's something that's very different about this that I appreciate so much about like what it brings to the table. I love It Follows. Haven't seen Under the Silver Lake. I know a lot of people either love or hate that depending on who you ask. So I'm interested to see how I fall in that spectrum. But I think it's just such a fun movie. I think we are craving these kind of thriller-based experiences that audiences go out and love. I mean, my screening was just so much fun reacting to it with the crowd. And yeah, I just can't say enough good things about it.
Yeah, you mentioned something that I really love too, which is how mischievous the dinosaurs were and almost vindictive. I think that their personalities came out a lot more in this movie than some of the recent Jurassic movies, especially. Marty,
Mitchell, I just real quick, like I love dialing in on that too because that is something that's been missing from a lot of films. It's something that makes Jurassic Park so singular. Is because so much of it is just being stalked by the dinosaurs. It's not how big the dinosaurs are. It's not even necessarily that you see them, but there's never a moment in Jurassic Park where you don't feel that there is a dinosaur around the corner. And we just lose that for 30 years. We basically just lost that. And then suddenly here comes Into Oak Street and you're like, oh yeah, no, dinosaurs are hunters. I forgot that was a thing that dinosaurs do. So yeah, I just, that's a great point. I really like
that. Marty, what about you?
I'm just happy that Mitchell is out of director's jail. I loved It Follows. I saw Under the Silver Lake when it first leaked, and I was like, this is so good. And then I found out all the things about how the movie had to be leaked because they weren't going to release it and all this. And I was just like, what is going on? And then we didn't have a movie from him for like a decade, and now he's got this. They Follow is filming right now. Yeah, I'm so excited to see him back behind the director's chair because I like dinosaurs. I grew up like my favorite dinosaur thing was the dinosaur Power Rangers. Like, fucked with that.
Good pull.
I have a dog that looks like a dinosaur.
You got yeah, very terrible.
I kind of see it.
But yeah, I like we were saying they're hunters, and I feel like so many dinosaur movies don't depict them in the way that they are. In a sense, like I loved here, you've got all the dinosaur shit just everywhere. You've got them where they're just kind of in the way and they're everywhere. And there's just more of a realistic feeling to them than just like, oh, look at this like cool monster. And I feel like even with the certain ones having the feathers and the scales, and it just seemed a lot more realistic in what I would think a dinosaur movie would be than basically anything the Jurassic World series has done over the past decade. So I was very excited going in and left very, very happy.
Yeah,
I like that Marty's talking like he was actually there during the dinosaur period.
Of course.
Like, as they actually were.
As they actually were.
As I remember vividly. Okay, great. So I want to kind of start by talking about the cast, because we have a really, some people who we've seen a lot of lately, like Anne Hathaway, who seems like has been in every movie lately, not complaining at all. She gives a tremendous performance here that I think goes far beyond what she's called to do, delivering so much pathos of this mother who's kind of going through this transformative period of realizing maybe I don't really love my husband and we're kind of staying together for our kids. And she starts the movie writing this not autobiographical book about how this woman wants to leave. And I think we got a lot of great intimate moments of kind of silent acting with her throughout the movie. And then she really brings it during the moments where she's supposed to play kind of fear and terror. The two separate things, apparently. Ewan McGregor is a bit more of a dope, kind of goofy, kind of silly, a bit ineffectual for a while. But I think, comes into his own in this part really quickly once you realize that he's not just like a doddering father and that he actually does take care of his kids emotionally and is there for them. And it's a little bit more complicated than just him being kind of a dopey father. And then for the two kids, Maisie Stella from My Old Ass and Christian Convery from Sweet Tooth, I really loved their dynamic because usually in these movies, the kids are always arguing. They're always bickering. And that's half the movie is just them fighting. And it just becomes a whole thing. And at the end, they have to go, I'm sorry, and all that bullshit. But here they really kind of streamline that dynamic. They're a brother and sister who genuinely care for one another, take care of one another. And I found that incredibly refreshing. So I think just in general, we're going to kind of go in reverse order and then snake back through the other way just for each of these segments. So let's start with Marty on thoughts of the cast.
I loved the cast. I think I read somewhere that Oscar Isaac was originally in talks to be the father, and I think that would have been interesting since he played Frankenstein and the son played younger Frankenstein in the Del Toro film. I was like, oh, that would be fun. But no, I loved Ewan McGregor as the dad. I think the costuming got him perfectly right for that kind of dopey, but still has that attractive oomph to him. And Anne Hathaway, I really felt for her character, especially when she was discussing the book with the neighbor. And I think they did a really good job rounding out every single character and bringing kind of the 80s aesthetic of the neighborhood family kind of film without going too heavy-handed with it. Yes, the younger son's getting bullied and he's attracted to the new girl, and I feel like they were able to put all of these storylines in place without them being okay, yeah, let's hurry this up and get back to the dinosaurs. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And that could have so easily become the dynamic. I think that we felt that especially in the last Jurassic World movie, which I personally enjoyed more than the other three. But there is that segment with the Lincoln lawyer and his family that's just why is this here? And it's just so long, makes the movie 30 minutes longer than it has to be.
From,
and I think that
Rebirth, right?
Yeah. Where
oh my god, dude. Total snoozer. Did you like the part where they had the fun little baby dinosaur that's not a forced Baby Yoda riff, eat the product placement candy?
Oh my God, I forgot about that. As much as I just said I like the movie, I'm like trying to remember a single scene from it.
Dude, I straight up thought you were talking about Dominion because I forgot Rebirth came out.
Well, they all have the stupid ass titles that just sound like video games. So like it's hard to distinguish. Yeah, it's hard to distinguish which one is which. But anyway, Mitchell, you go.
Yeah, as touched upon, I think Anne Hathaway is brilliant. She has that kind of like commanding presence in this role that really sells her performance as vulnerable and authentic. But I think like Owen McGregor really sells that Midwestern dad aesthetic and vibe better than I think anyone else could have. Just the line readings, the approach he has to different like reactions he has, like, it's all right, bud, it's all right, champ. Like all of that is just so well done. But I think a standout to me, especially, I think it's a smaller character, of course, but PJ Byrne as the annoying neighbor character.
Yes.
Incredible casting. Like he does so much good work as these side characters. Yeah, you just can't help but love him. So I think like all around, it's just so many natural picks for this like suburban community that really just stand out among the rest.
That's such a good call out real quick, because the dynamic of him being all big and puffing out his chest when he's talking to Anne Hathaway, and then just being like, all right, man, we're cool. We're cool. As soon as the dad, like just two dads having a conversation, and the way he just turns, he's so angry, and then he's like, all right, yeah, man, let's go grow some shit in the backyard. It's so good. It's such a good turn. It's such a great performance. I love it.
I think it's a good like character throwback to like, because like, oh, we'll think about like I forget the actor's name, but Mr. Gennaro from Jurassic Park, the lawyer, who's just this like total standoffish dick. And you're just thinking the whole time, I cannot wait for this guy to get eaten. You know, PJ Byrne really slots into that. What I think is really fun about David Robert Mitchell's filmmaking is how mean he is behind the camera and as a writer. Because when PJ Byrne, you know, gets his, you know, comeuppance, I'm actually like, oh, wow, that was quite violent. And I think we're gonna be talking a lot about kind of over the top violence furthermore. But wow, yeah, PJ Byrne really just he fit the bill for this one.
Yeah,
my really favorite part of that moment isn't even when it happens to him, but when it cuts back and the roof is just like a bloody like.
Yeah,
it's like
he got laughing in the theater.
He got eaten. Okay, Zach, what about you?
Pretty much all of the stuff I wanted to talk about has been touched upon, so I'll just kind of briefly say I really enjoyed both Anne Hathaway and Ewan McGregor in this movie, and I thought all of the kids, especially Jordan Alexa Davis, who played Jeanette, also did a very good job. Everybody in this movie did great, and yeah, I really liked all the performances. My favorite one, though, would probably be Anne Hathaway for a certain sequence that we'll talk about later.
Sort of touching on Jordan really quickly, I want to know, did anybody else feel a little bit of queer tension between Maisie, Stella?
Yeah.
And
yes. That was okay. Right?
We're holding hands in that like final sequence.
The screening that I went to.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I accidentally hit the mute button. No, definitely no. No, I was just saying the screening that I went to, I thought it was fairly obvious that the queer undertones were there. I didn't realize it was as subtle, because especially like the way that the audience reacted to that scene, it wasn't very subtle at all.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was definitely barely disguised. Luca, what about you?
I think Ewan McGregor is doing a very interesting role, and this also kind of incorporates to the throwback energy of the movie, where Ewan McGregor's performance in this movie is very like the dad from The Thing. Like you'll just like, you know, pick like straws out of a hat. Like I don't know, like first thing I can think of is like Steve Zahn and Diary of a Wimpy Kid, but that's just because that's what I grew up on. But like I'm sure there's more examples. I mean, like what, like Richard Dreyfuss in Close Encounters, except maybe without all the mania. And I think this really works for Ewan. Kind of like I'm trying to figure out how to word this. He kind of takes a back seat intentionally to kind of let Anne Hathaway take the show, which I think is really cool. Like this is definitely more of Anne Hathaway's movie than it is Ewan's, and I don't mean that as a bad thing at all. I mean, she's been on a hell of a run this year. I mean, I liked every movie that she's been in this year. I mean, The Odyssey, fantastic. Devil Wears Prada 2, I had a good time. Mother Mary, I'm warming up on it, and this one might be my favorite performance out of this year. I'm not gonna lie. I just had a stellar time. I felt for these characters a lot, and they have these very 80s Spielbergian take a shot type of character molds, again, like the mom who wants out of life, the dad who's just a little stuck in his ways, these types of things. These are all stereotypical cookie cutter characters. But the thing is that Mitchell knows what he's doing with these characters, and I'll kind of elaborate on that further down the line. But he just kind of, he's kind of it's that meanness that I expect from Mitchell, where he's kind of just tugging at them like marionettes and making them do whatever he wants. Again, like I'm talking about like PJ Byrne, for instance, who's just, again, slotting directly into that character archetype we've seen in the 80s and 90s 1,000 times. And shit, man, it works. I mean, the hits play for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Damn right.
Yeah. I honestly, like, everybody's kind of taken everything, but I'll touch a little bit on what Luca said. Is I think it's really interesting that David Mitchell kind of takes all of these very flat characterizations of just, they're all cookie cutter. Every single one of them could slot into any movie that this movie invokes. So when you talk about the ambulin codedness, the 80s slockiness, the Spielberginess of it all, you can just pick any character and slot every single one of these people in there. But I think what really makes it, in a compliment to the cast that kind of elevates it and really makes you feel like it, is how much he just lets them go. He gives them the outline, and he's like, hey, Anne Hathaway, you are Mother. And she's been Mother this whole year. So
yeah, I was about to say.
Oh, cool, I got this. Ewan McGregor, you're the dad. And he's like, okay, cool, I know how to do that. And they all just kind of elevate these very cookie cutter trope characters. And I actually think that's a huge testament to everybody in this movie. Even the kids are able to kind of elevate out of some of those dynamics that you see. Because I always find in these types of movies, I always find the child actors to be pretty grating. And I don't think that they do very well, and they tend to be the worst parts of the movie. But here, all of them are great. All of them just kind of understand the assignment. They know exactly what they're doing. Zach, you mentioned Jordan, and she is, I don't think her character really is necessary in the movie. But this is her feature film debut, and she just kind of like slots in and knows exactly what her assignment is. I got the pleasure of being able to interview her. And I unfortunately didn't ask her about the queer codedness of her character. I definitely should have done that. But yeah, I think everybody does a great job. I think Anne Hathaway is by far and away the standout. I think she really does carry this film. And I think she is the only human being on the planet that actually has me excited for a Colleen Hoover movie. And that is just a testament to Anne Hathaway's power, because I have to be seated now. I've got to complete the year of Hathaway with that
Testament of Anne Hathaway.
The Testament of Anne Hathaway.
I'll jump on that just for a sec, just to say that she's been having such a cool year. She had her little indie drama with Mother Mary. She had her big sequel with Devil Wears Prada 2. She had her blockbuster with The Odyssey. And now she has her covered in blood moment with End of Oak Street.
Yeah.
four quadrant cinema right there.
And now she's got to do a schlocky erotic thriller from Colleen Hoover.
Verity looks baller. It looks like so much fun. I don't know why they shot a Colleen Hoover movie like David Fincher's Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, but I'll be there to see it. Absolutely.
I have seen no marketing from that movie other than the quote you just gave, and now when we're done this pod, I'm going to have to look up a trailer.
I saw Dakota Johnson and Anne Hathaway kissing.
Yeah. It looks so ridiculous, but it
that's the one with Josh Hartnett too, right?
Hartnett
and Dakota Johnson.
Yep. The cast is incredible for a movie I should have no interest in seeing whatsoever.
It's gonna be some booty, but I'll be in the front row for it.
Oh yeah, I'm so ready. But yeah, it's just a testament to Hathaway. She is so good, and she is the best part of a bad movie. She is firing on all cylinders in End of Oak Street. She's incredible in this movie.
Do we have a sneak appearance from somebody in the top right over there?
Oh, that's
this is the voice of God. No, you guys are having great conversations about the characters. I wanted to throw this question because this is the immediate thing that I asked myself when I finished watching the movie. When talking about the characters, I think you're all right. They all slot in really well. I think they elevate the material and they're really, really entertaining. But there's clearly a divide between the female characters and the male characters. And my question is, do you think that male characters have to be dumbed down, philosophical, kind of aloof in order for female characters to be the powerful people, or can there be like that power is like, I want to know about the power dynamics there, because I think in this movie it's very interesting how intentional the script is about the women are practical, they're very realistic, they're very present and in the moment, while the guys, they believe in God, they're dopey, they can't get they can't manage their relationships well enough. I'm interested in your guys' perspective on the divide between how the female characters are handled and how the male characters are handled.
It's called realism.
And that's
maximum accuracy.
It is funny. I'm glad you guys brought up the queer-coded part, because that was really clear. And I remember thinking in the movie, dang, his sister is closer to getting a girlfriend than he is.
Oh, yeah. And the whole time the brother's just oblivious, too, which is even funnier.
Yeah, totally. Just so entirely oblivious.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it just felt very real. It just, we all know that family where the dad's just kind of there, and you're sitting there going like, damn, why doesn't she leave him? Yeah, and
that's totally
in this movie, it's kind of like maybe she will if they survive the transportation of the prehistoric era, or perhaps they won't. And I think there's something to talk about here once we get into the spoiler section, particularly. Totally. But
anyway, just wanted to drop
you guys. Yeah, definitely. Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
I mean, I think this goes into what I was saying earlier about Ewan McGregor kind of taking a backseat to Hathaway in a sense, where like I'm thinking of okay, first of all, if we could all just take a look at the specific shot that Zach has as his background. That specific shot that goes from this frame to a different shot to like a pull back on the street with Hathaway shooting the Allosaurus, dude. That's like
that was the scene that I said I was going to mention. I had that shot of her with the rifle as the background, but it didn't fit in correctly. That was going to be my, but it just didn't.
I was geeking. Like
that is like, probably top 3 sequence of the year for me, for sure.
That's like up there with like the wheat field and like Disclosure Day for me. Oh my god, that took me away. But anyway, to answer Thomas's question, it's all about the Ewan McGregor's character taking a back seat and really letting Anne Hathaway shine. Like, imagine if Laura Dern, got out of the car in Jurassic Park and started waving the flare, like, "Hey, come look at me!" Like, that's basically this entire movie. And again, I'm so happy that Anne Hathaway also gets to have her covered in blood moment. We'll tackle this in spoilers, but she has an interesting interaction with a large serpentine creature that I was just beaming during.
It's so good. I think too. It's a way for David to kind of modernize the misogyny of 80s schlock filmmaking without being overt, like girl power, right? Like it's a way for him to inject a little bit more realism into actual family dynamics, while also keeping intact the way that we remember them, right? Because we remember them as, oh yeah, the dad is, even if he's aloof, it's going to force him to be present in the lives, and then he's got to save the family. And all of that is still kind of present in End of Oak Street, but he's able to kind of shift that balance a little bit to be like, yeah, but everybody should be contributing to this. Everybody should be fighting for survival. And it's just kind of a way to add a little bit more realism to the schlocky blueprint of 80s Amblin filmmaking. And I think it's really smart. There's tons of ways for that to go horribly wrong and just feel like you're getting assaulted with the, down with misogyny, long live feminism, which I'm not against. Like I'm totally down for that. But I just think this is a better way to kind of get that across. And almost forcing us to interpret that rather than being like, oh God, here we go. It's another girl power movie. Like it is, but it's not at the same time. And I think that's really clever in the way that he frames it.
I was looking at Rotten Tomatoes because I noticed that the audience score is a little bit lower than the critic score, and I was wondering why that is, because it's very kind of crowd pleasing. And then I saw one of the reviews go like, they emasculated the male characters and all the women were in control. I was like, oh, it's bullshit. Okay, got it.
Maybe not as subtle as I thought.
That's like the possible reason. Does anybody have any other thoughts on this? Because I think we're kind of naturally veering into what I want to talk about next. But anybody else have any thoughts on this?
I'll just say that nobody should ever listen to the audience scores in Rotten Tomatoes. That's just like stepping on a rake.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to talk about David's direction and any kind of specific favorite sequences that we have. To me, the best flourish within this movie, and I think it's something that comes back from It Follows, is the blocking.
Yes.
This movie has some of like to me, I'm kind of not the biggest fan of CGI characters. I hate watching people do motion capture acting. I hate watching people act against things that aren't there. It's just not for me. But in this movie, the way that he manages to make these creatures feel like they organically exist in the environment, are actually there, can pop out of any corner of the screen. It's so playful and it's so masterfully realized that it's really amazing to me that this is his first big budget movie. It's a remarkable feat of visual effects work. As somebody hinted at earlier, I would say that my favorite sequence is when they're hanging out in the house and they're trying to get their shit together, and then suddenly Mr. Big Ass Snake, or as my friend corrected me, legless lizard, rolls into the house and nobody sees him, but he's just lurking there with his giant body just going through the
Titanoboa
house. Yeah, just strangling the house slowly with his little mischievous beady eyes. What an incredible sequence. So just to anybody who wants to kind of jump in and say their favorite moment of blocking or any kind of other directorial flourish that he exhibited.
Oh man, well, I'll say the scene that's straight up just in Zach's background, like, it's just like the way the camera moves just made me so happy. Like I could have just started kicking my feet with pure glee. Also the bit when like they're like in the house and they're kind of processing what happened, and then like Mitchell's just chucking like split diopters at you 1,000,000 miles per hour. You know, my friend texted me the other day with the like flirting versus harassment meme saying David Robert Mitchell spamming split diopters versus Lee Cronin doing it in The Mummy. And yeah, because and this is something I've noticed to the point where I honestly kind of want to write an article on it, where there have been so many oneers this year that just feel so clunky and flat. Like I'm thinking about like this one for Masters of the Universe where it's just like drifting from character to character in a CGI clusterfuck action sequence, and I'm just like, and then it's the same.
Leave my He-Man alone.
Well, they're all trying to be that shot from the first Avengers, right? Where it's like battle, and it's going from like one character to the next. Like you said, that was like the most masterful.
And then
version of that.
There's like the 360 shot from Supergirl with the middle cover that's just been beaten to death. There's the opening little bit in The Mandalorian and Grogu where the Mandalorian's tearing through the AT-AT and the camera is just sluggishly like, you know, just tiptoeing around. All that's to say is that, like, oneers with intention. Thank you, David Robert Mitchell. It's not that hard. I mean, it is that hard, but he just makes it look effortless. You know, and there's just so many like little tidbits like that where it doesn't need to be it doesn't really need to be a oneer. But it feels invisible because the flow and the rhythm is continuous, and he knows what he's doing. You know, this is present in, I mean, literally the opening shot, the opening shot of It Follows. A good chunk of Under the Silver Lake is like that too. And Mitchell is a student of Spielberg. Again, take a shot, and he knows how to construct this stuff. And it's again, like we're gonna keep mentioning this. Like it's so Amblin-esque. You know, like I'm so happy to have 2 Spielberg movies this summer. What a treat!
I feel like this felt more like Poltergeist than like
Yes,
a
yes. I mean, even like a little bit of like Richard Donner with the Goonies.
Yeah. There's my favorite sequence is when they're going to look for the kids and they're driving through and you've got like the turtles, and then you've got like the T-Rex or whatever that like comes at them.
The Spinosaurus,
thank you. And I love the tiny details that are in it, like when the car gets thrown into the house and the fire starts. I don't know if we're getting to spoiler territory, but a cat pops
I'd say
out.
mild spoilers.
Okay.
Like, you know, we're talking about scenes in the movie, but
pops out and he's just
nobody say
like,
the big scene yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're just like, okay, we need to get out of this house. And this cat's like, not my problem. And the cat bolts out of the house too. There's so much details that add texture to this film because there's so many layers that, oh, if we just got rid of this and added an extra action sequence, if we got rid of this and added an extra thing, it would just like lose the flavor of like what makes this feel so homey. And I love the layers to each and every scene. So it feels like a blockbuster from decades ago. It doesn't just visually feel 80s, it like emotionally and texturally is 80s.
I like what you said about the details because, again, Dinosaur Kid here, there's these little tidbits that really just scratch the itch. Like when they first get teleported, they don't really know what's happening, but they're saying like, wow, it's really hot in here. And their ears start popping. That's because of the pressure change in 20 or 200 million years ago. And, they're saying it's hot. Well, that's because of the greenhouse gases at the time. There's all of these little things, that make sense because they're in dinosaur times that a good, careful screenwriter like David Robert Mitchell is paying attention to. But they all work together to make a cumulative and wonderful final product.
Yeah, I've been trying to like get to the bottom of like why this movie is so thrilling or anxiety inducing. And I think it's the physicality of how David Robert Mitchell uses location, right? He is the king, and It Follows, of revealing only just enough for audiences to perceive in the background before characters do. He does that like 20 different times here, and they're just as thrilling each and every time. I also think there's something about the setting of like a Midwest suburb neighborhood that he uses in such an effective way. Like, I know the scene, I'm not going to get into spoilers, of course, where the fences are all lined up one after the other, and there's an exciting chase through them. I think that is using, like, it just feels so natural and real. Like, this feels like a neighborhood as a Midwest kid that like literally I used to play in when I was like younger. Like,
me too.
So vulnerable and real, and I think that's why it's so effective in the end.
I think
that fence moment did.
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to say, I think Mitchell, like what you talked about of that Midwestern setting, because there's a lot of layers. You guys have all kind of mentioned it, but I think that Midwestern vibe that he so carefully crafts makes you believe that like no one is going to believe that a dinosaur is in their backyard until they visually see a dinosaur in their backyard. There's this great scene where the family is in the house and they kind of discovered that something is not right, but they're looking outside and there's a guy that's just going to go to work. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I remember that.
He gets in his car to drive to work, and then like 2 seconds later, he's turning around and like running into his house. But it's like, that's a Midwestern thing. Everything is the same and every day is the same. Everything is normal, no matter how abnormal it is when you get behind closed doors. And I think that just adds to this just very dynamic, tactile thrill of like, don't go there, there's a dinosaur there. Like, we know it, but you can't see it. It's in your trash. Like, watch out. And I just love that. Just makes it so we are ahead of the characters. And for the first time, like, that's a good thing. We're supposed to be. We're supposed to see the dinosaur before everybody does. There's another scene where like only one kid happens to see something that may be a dinosaur. That's like, hey, there is something out there. We know what it is, but they don't. They have no idea, and they're trying to figure it out, and they don't believe that she saw something. And it, like, the way he just hides the terror just makes it so much more enthralling. And you find yourself scanning the screen every frame to be like, okay, what's back there? What's next there? What's out of frame? What's, and like you said, he kind of just cuts it to be like, no, this is, you can only see what I want you to see. And there are so many scenes that are so good like that, on top of just the split diopter is just, yeah, I got a big Camp Miasma moment, and then he just kept doing it. I was like,
Lee Cronin should feel embarrassed.
Yes, yes, he should.
Well, it's almost like an ant farm, kind of, the way that he shoots the city sometimes, where you see a lot of like overhead shots.
Oh yeah,
where you're kind of getting the full sense of like these dinosaurs are roaming around here, and like you said, Derrick, like, oh, this person's like getting in their car and going the wrong way, and like it's so intentional. And I think that also a lot of people, when they make these sort of Spielberg tribute movies, try to do his techniques. They try to one up him or replicate him in some way. And I think that David, it's using kind of the spine of those movies, but he's directing it in a way that feels entirely unique and not trying to replicate. Zach, what about you?
So I've heard you, I just wanted to quickly say, I've heard you guys mention a bunch of different names in regards to this movie, whether it be Spielberg or Amblin. Another name I want to throw out as well is Joe Dante, like the guy who did Gremlins.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
A lot of this. Yeah. But so a lot of my favorite sequences have already been called out. So due to my answer being a spoiler, I just want to quickly say I got a chance to see this movie in IMAX in a packed promo screening crowd. And there were people literally cheering and like full on, like there's a reveal toward the end of the movie with a certain character that literally the entire theater, it was like Endgame level cheers because of this one character. It was incredible. So I just want to give I want to give a big shout out to the audience I was in on Wednesday night that just made this movie all the more experiential for me.
Sort of a similar moment, if it's the moment I'm thinking of, on your left. So I do want to now, I think everybody's ready to talk about it. This is where we're going to get into capital S spoilers. And I want to talk about, in the middle of the movie, Ewan McGregor gets eaten. He dies. And it is very unexpected. It's kind of the first time that he really kind of jumps in to help, and the T-Rex straight up just fucks him up.
I have a very funny story about that.
And it is a jaw-dropping moment in that you could just see the entire energy of the audience just like shift, like the oxygen goes out of the room. But later on in the movie, and I kind of want to talk about this whole kind of aspect of the movie holistically. So just give me a moment to kind of articulate this, because I think this is kind of my main misgiving with the movie. Later on at the end, they jump through the portal and go back in time to right before the dinosaurs show up. And Ewan McGregor is alive. Everybody who died in the movie already is alive. And while I do understand that this is kind of a family movie and they're trying to sort of rein in a certain audience, to me, it did kind of take away from the sense of stakes and consequences of the rest of the movie that we watched, in terms of just the meanness and the rawness. And I think that I have to wonder a couple things. This was delayed a year. It was supposed to come out last year, which means it's shot in 2024. At the end of the movie, during the credits, we see that this movie is dedicated to David Robert Mitchell's father, who passed away in 2024, presumably around the time this shot. I don't want to get too parasocial here, but I think it does invite a question to me, which is that I have to wonder if they shot this movie with Ewan McGregor being straight up dead, and maybe it tested badly or maybe something happened. But I have to wonder if maybe David himself had a change of heart and decided, for his own sake and for his own, emotional well-being, that he wanted the dad to survive. Because that's the version of the story that he wanted to tell. So I do just want to get everybody's thoughts on this aspect of the movie. It is certainly, I think, the most ballsy flourish within the movie, even though it does kind of backpedal. So just anybody who wants to jump in on it.
Man,
yeah,
I
was going to say, I'll kick this off real quick, because I do think it's one of the best scenes in the movie. Just from start to finish, from the minute the T-Rex shows up to the basically the final sequence of Ewan McGregor just getting his shit rocked by this dinosaur. And I love the way that David kind of frames it, where it's like, oh yeah, no, he's hurt, but he's gonna be okay. Oh fuck, no, he's not. It's so good. It's so mean spirited. I loved it so much. That whole sequence, just the way it's blocked, the way it's framed. But it does. I think it does two things, and I think it also. I think it's one of the reasons I didn't give this like a high mark. Like it really kind of held it back, because while I understand the ending of kind of giving us the everybody's going to be okay in the end, I do think it undercuts how exciting that moment is in the movie, because when that happens, all of a sudden that warm blanket protection that you have of your protagonist in Amblin movies, in Spielberg movies, in the things that it's trying to evoke, gets shattered, just completely destroyed of, oh yeah, nothing is going to happen to our main characters. And then all of a sudden, one of the main characters gets brutally eaten, and we still don't know whether or not this is time travel. Like, we don't understand exactly what is happening to this family. And then it sets off the whole last 30 minutes of the movie to be like, oh, every single one of these people might not make it. And that is just so, I think that's part of the thing that adds to the thrill, because then immediately after that, we get the snake that's stalking through the house again. We get these, crocodile, alligator things that are starting to attack them. The kid misses the warp bubble, and like,
oh my god!
You are so invested on, and you truly believe that they're not going to make it, only for him to kind of undo all of that goodwill in the end. And so I'm probably going to lean a little bit more towards your first proposition, Michael, of, yeah, this was a studio note. I get the sense that he was perfectly fine with being a little mean-spirited, and I get the sense that there's a version of this movie where the family has to learn how to live without their father. And I feel like that's probably a little bit more in line with what he wanted to do. And they were like, no, you can't have a blockbuster where everybody dies. Like, that's just not, we can't do that. You can't have a melancholic ending to this dinosaur movie. We got to have some hope. And then they're like, all right, cool, but I get to use my F-bomb here. And and you're like, okay, all right, fine. All right, we'll let you have it. But yeah, I think it's probably the prior one that you said.
I was thinking more like, when Michael Caine's opening monologue to The Prestige, where he's like, the first part of the trick is, they show you something. And then the second part is they make it disappear, or what is the turn. And then the third part is The Prestige, where they make it come back. And then, Ewan McGregor comes back, and I'm like, oh, The Prestige! And I was just happy. Like, no more than that. My heart was just put back together. I fell in love with this movie wholeheartedly. I will say, I do think there is a little bit of a sinister undertone to the ending, because if you look closely, there are two Jeanettes at the end. So that means that the Anne Hathaway and kids are just stuck in the past. No Ewan McGregor. They're just fucked. And I think that's a fun little... scary, a little morally conflicting note to leave off on. But I think that ties into the Dante-isms a little that Zach was mentioning. Again, also just Ewan McGregor having his leg torn off and screaming and then being eaten. Like, that's like, dude, that was really mean, man. But
I have a funny story.
Oh, sorry. I feel like all the effects were like really good in the movie, especially with the dinosaurs, except for his leg getting bitten off. Like when he's holding his leg up, it looks like he's holding cardboard. Like,
I think they had to.
The entire movie looks amazing, but when he is like waving his leg in the air, it looks like he's got cardboard in his pants. Yeah. Like, I appreciate all the dinosaurs looking amazing, and then the one goofy shot is of his leg getting bitten off.
Again, I just think that's the PG-13 stuff. They just had to whittle that down a little.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm just making excuses.
Bloody and grotesque. Yeah. They wanted it to be, but
because there's things where like they obscure like the dinosaurs eating people, where it's just they're like shot from like the behind. You just see like the dinosaur like kind of like no mouth going like and, I would have liked to see somebody get like torn in half like in Jurassic Park 2, but that's okay.
I appreciate them still for. He placed the dinosaurs fucking like in a way that it like could not be cut from the storyline, because she takes that photo, like she has that photo later. So I think that's like so smart, because I don't know. It feels like, yeah, maybe there was going to be an executive who's like, you can't put dinosaurs fucking in your movie. And he's like, oh, well, I actually have Anne Hathaway take a photo of him in front of this major thing happening. So the photo of the dinosaurs fucking has to be in the movie. So I appreciate.
I want to be in that pitch meeting room so bad. I just imagine. Yeah, I just imagine David Mitchell like Charlie Day in Always Sunny, and he's just like doing all of the strings to explain why he needs the dinosaurs fucking in his movie.
Mm-hmm. It's like you're gonna see giant piles of poop everywhere. You're gonna see fucking. You're gonna see like what dinosaurs were up to. Appreciate it. But back to the two Jeanettes. Like, yeah, I kept thinking about that. I was just like, this girl went from having no girlfriends to maybe 2 girlfriends. Like, love that. But then I was
Challengers.
like, she called basically everybody in the neighborhood, but she didn't tell her other self or her other children. So like somewhere out there in a different universe or something, or in the past or whatever we want to Cloverfield it or whatever, like there's a different version of her and her children out there. What about the guy who bullied her son and the guy whose arm's broken? Like, we see the certain people who like make it, but then it's like, who else in the neighborhood did not make it, you know? Like, did she just decide, oh, I don't fuck with these people, I'm just gonna leave them to fight the dinosaurs out? Or the people who don't believe her, like just leaving it on that like kind of note of like, okay, yeah, these people made it, but like which ones didn't? Like, which ones actually went back and are fighting for their lives against the
He was nice enough to call PJ Burns' character, which is something I wouldn't have done.
Oh, I would not either. I saw him and I was just like, damn, girl, damn. Let's call the what's it called? The librarian or whatever, who's got a house way too big to be a librarian. But like, yeah, let's call her.
Honestly,
well, it's in the Midwest, so the prices are cheaper.
Yeah,
and in the 80s, so you could buy a house for your lunch money.
Exactly. I have to wonder, you know, if they came across the duplicates and just went, yeah, and you know, we survived this already. You know, you didn't, like, you know, maybe euthanize the other duplicates of the family, because I was myself wondering how that all went down with the.
It's also like the Prestige.
Yeah. Okay, Zach.
Oh, no, I was just going to quickly say, I thought that kind of adding to this movie's sort of Twilight Zone vibe, I thought that that's how this movie was going to end, is that they would get home and see him. We're in full spoilers, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. They would get home and see him delivering the pizzas and then go into the house and see the family, and it's kind of like doubles or whatever. I thought that's how this would end, and I was surprised that they went on the sort of like melancholic, everybody's back together. I was very surprised by that. I also wanted to tell a quick story. I've heard you guys mention the scene a few times about Ewan McGregor getting his leg ripped off, but that scene, it was really funny. I was saying earlier about my audience reaction. It was funny to see the audience literally flip from cheers to like, oh my God, his leg's being ripped off within seconds. It was crazy.
It spins on a dime. I really like that.
Yeah.
Mitchell?
Yeah, I think, you know, as we touched upon, the ending's going to make or break this movie for most people, right? You're either going to love the direction it goes or you're going to hate it. For myself personally, I think that I respect the angle it goes for. I don't think the tone or approach it uses is the exact way I would have ended this story off. I think playing it like a straightforward happy ending where everyone's back together at this neighborhood party at the end of the final shot, even though you have a lot of unanswered questions like the photo of the dinosaurs and Owen on the wall, where the double will have to see that eventually and go, you know, what's the story behind this unless they're explaining it to him. I just think there's a far more interesting and moral question the film presents than it actually goes to an effort to explain here. And I wish I could see a version of the film where the ending is sort of like that haunting approach of like, what are the ramifications of this exactly in that environment? But I think for the most part, it kind of sticks the landing as like this straightforward, big budget blockbuster type ending.
Well, it's like on that note, I think this is maybe the rare movie that could have been longer. This is just such a great, entertaining movie, and I think he was very smart to keep it short. But even if we kept it under 2 hours and added another, 10 minutes at the end, I think that could have filled in a lot of blanks. And, I don't want it to be spoon fed to me either, but I agree that it left a little bit on the table. Maybe they were thinking there could be a second one. I don't really know, but we'll see. I'm feeling like that probably won't happen.
The end of Oak Street
In the
Rebirth.
promotional material, they were suggesting that like there were like alligator type dinosaurs in the basement. Like I feel like there was supposed to be a scene of Anne Hathaway in the basement trying to get her book. And I feel like it maybe got cut for time, but I feel like there was supposed to be that scene down there in the basement.
Yeah.
Well, I thought she, to be honest, I thought she played that moment where she realized that the book was down there so beautifully just in the 10 seconds they gave her. It was enough for me. Like she really,
she brings so much. She brings so much to scenes that genuinely would not matter to any other performer. Like there is no reason for her to give like an Academy Award winning devastation in 10 seconds of a book that basically just disappears from the story after it goes away, right? She is giving so much for so little. It's incredible. It's incredible. But I do agree that it does feel like there are pieces missing. That it was kind of cut down a little bit too much. I have this, Mitchell kind of touched on it a little bit. I have this respect for some of the choices that he makes, particularly with the refraining from giving us way too many exposition dumps, because there's a version of this movie that tries to over-explain, the time travel and the warping and the, they go to a house and there's a mad scientist. There's a version of this that exists with that coded in here. And I appreciate that he doesn't do that, but he also is a little too guarded to justify the way that it all kind of comes to its conclusion. And I think he removes a little too much to where it kind of just leaves you feeling like, hey, that was really, really fun, but I actually don't know what the hell is going on. And I don't know if that's the right balance. It's better than the other versions that we can get, but I do think it leaves a little bit to be desired. And I think just an extra 10 minutes of even just another action sequence or just a little bit something in there to maybe round it out a little bit better. I especially towards the ending, I think that would have helped a little.
Yeah, honestly, I was actually kind of worried once they got to the librarian's house, because I was also thinking, this house is too big for a librarian. Something's up here. And I was actually really nervous that they were gonna turn it on its head and the librarian was in on it all along or something like that. And I was like, please don't do that. And then instead she's just cowering in her little office with a shotgun, and then she opens the door, blasts one, and then fucking dies. Dude, this movie is so cruel. I love it.
Mean. It's so mean-spirited. I love it.
But also, but it kind of also corrects that, or not corrects it, but I guess surpluses that by letting the people who would think it's too mean have a bit of okay, everybody's okay. And, I guess it's just a matter of, do you wish that it had given everybody in the audience that? I mean, I think it's probably a decision that will age the movie well in just kind of general audience circles. I think, for us, a bunch of cinephiles, we always want everything to be as dark and mean as possible. So we're kind of oh, myself included. But I think, 20 years from now, if any of us have kids, it might be easier to show them that when it's not dad is dead, just like I will be someday.
Movies used to do that, though. They used to teach kids about grief and shit. So,
but but you kind of get to have your cake and eat it too, and it just sort of depends on how you feel about that. So
I do just have to for all the issues that I do have with the ending, because that's actually I think the things that hold it back. I just have to highlight how well placed this F-bomb is. You want to talk about 80s Amblin 90s movies that have that? There was a time, I know a lot of people might not know this, but there was a time where every PG-13 movie got one F-bomb. That's it. They only got one. They were not allowed to use any others. And so they would painstakingly craft a movie that found the right place to add one. And this is just chef's kiss, no notes, 10 out of 10. Just Ewan McGregor staring off into the distance and just in his affable, goofy way, it's just is that a fucking dinosaur? So no notes, it's just amazing.
I love his little Midwestern accent. Good touch.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the moments where his him doing an American accent really stuck out for me. I don't know if anybody else here has seen Down with Love, which if you
love,
haven't, you
love
should.
that.
But like whenever he does his American accent, all I can think about is him going, "I'm Catcher Block." Okay, but anyway, I think we're kind of wrapping up here. But before we do, I did want to ask, David Robert Mitchell is currently filming the long-awaited sequel to It Follows, titled They Follow. And I was wondering if anybody has any kind of updated expectations or thoughts on what they hope to see in They Follow from this movie. Because to me, this really shows that he's improving his craft as a director. I would honestly say this is probably my favorite of his 3 movies. So I'm thinking that he's going to bring a whole new sense of scale to They Follow. Maybe different kinds of creatures, not just the same person or the
dinosaurs.
You know what? Go for it. But I was just wondering if anybody else had any, like, coming out of it, anything that they are more excited for with They Follow.
Well,
Honestly,
split diopter, obviously. He's gonna
yeah,
have
sure.
to with that.
I've never been so back. I love it.
At a certain point, someone's just going to make a movie that's all split diopter shots.
I think from They Follow, I'm expecting a little more like kind of cloak and dagger, because like, as I said kind of at the start of the podcast, David Robert Mitchell is a very straightforward filmmaker, unless he's like intentionally being like stupid. I don't want to say stupid. That sounds derogatory. Under the Silver Lake is like, again, it's like a Rubik's Cube on purpose. But I would prefer if They Follow had a little more of that Rubik's Cube energy, just because it just tickles, my brain a little, the type that likes, like The Long Goodbye and Inherent Vice and stuff like that. It doesn't need to be a mystery movie, but like you guys know what I mean, right? A little more to the story other than like It Follows. Maybe multiple people follow. That's why it's called They Follow.
A little bit weirder, you're basically saying.
A little weirder, but also like, a little more intrigue.
Mm-hmm.
I trust that it's going to hit. We've got the same people coming back to the score again. And that score in the first It Follows is something I listen to every October. Like, it is so good. It is so creepy.
Shout out Disasterpiece.
Disasterpiece fucking eats that score.
I was just listening to Turning Teeth by Jesus and the Brides of Dracula before we started the pod.
Mm-hmm.
I think for They Follows, I think if the End of Oak Street is any indication, I think he's going to be able to combine the low budget grit that he has with It Follows that allows him to kind of experiment with different ideas with terror, and then match that with the scale of End of Oak Street. And then I think if he can blend those two together, I think They Follows is going to be just incredible. Because what I don't want is I don't want him to make They Follows as the End of Oak Street. I don't want it to be that big. I like the smallness and the I like the smallness of It Follows, because I think that actually provides it a little bit more terror and fear in what it's doing. And so I want him to keep that, but if he can scale it up a bit with the things that he's learned and is doing in End of Oak Street, I think we've got a new horror champion on our hands whenever that drops. So those are the things I think I'd like to see. And yeah, split diopters, man. What a time to be alive with those coming back. I'm ready. I love it.
Lee Cronin, man.
I know, bro.
Else?
Like
Lee Cronin's They Follow. It's coming. Zach or Mitchell, any thoughts on They Follow?
As somebody that has never seen It Follows, as I mentioned at the top of this podcast, right. I hope they bring back the Music Man from Under the Silver Lake. I believe that's his name, the Music Man, or whatever, the guy behind the piano.
I thought you were just talking about like Disasterpiece. Like, bro, we just said the name.
No, yeah.
I thought you were talking about Al Jolson, the Music Man. I was like, please, let's not bring him back.
I can't even.
I haven't seen Under the Silver Lake if the Music Man is in there.
No, I can't remember the name of the guy, but the guy behind the piano. I hope they bring him back. Yeah, the songwriter. There you go. Yeah, the guy that's been behind every song in the last 50 years or whatever the fuck.
The guy who wrote Mozart and Nirvana.
I gotta watch that movie again. It's so good.
So stupid.
Get your tomato juice.
Mitchell?
Yeah, I think for me, like, I think this just serves as a great refresher course for David Robert Mitchell. I mean, we love him from It Follows and Under Silver Lake, if you've seen that, but he kind of dipped off the face of the earth for like a few years there. So I think if anyone had any doubts as to, okay, is he the right choice for They Follow? I think this is a movie that's like, oh yeah, never mind. He still got it. So I think for me, that's what I got out of this, and I can't wait.
Yeah, thank God they didn't get Lee Cronin to direct They Follow. Sure. Lee Cronin's They Follow.
Guys just getting his
The
ass
worst
beaten in
phrase.
pod, not
I
even
know.
about him.
I know, poor guy.
I'm just excited to see Maiko with Naomi Aki. Like, I
Absolutely.
feel like there,
Yeah.
it's going,
right.
it's going
Yes.
to be epic. It's going to be delicious, and I'm going to be so excited for it.
My good friend Naomi Aki. Love her.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I love
And
her.
a shout out Jackie Early Haley, who's also in it.
That's right. Oh my God. I'm forgetting all
yes.
about this cast.
I know. I got to
Um,
do some research. I think Micah too has really grown into her scream queen abilities. So she's had what 10 years, over 10 years to kind of perfect her craft in these kind of like indie horror movies. And so I am so excited to see her bring all like 10 years of work back to a character where it kind of all began. That is. And then Naomi Aki as her co-star. Get out of here, bro! Like I'm so
Love her.
signed.
Love her.
I'm so seated.
She won't have to carry the movie like she did in Mickey 17.
Yes,
that's
yes.
for sure. So we're gonna kind of wrap up here, but does anybody have any final thoughts on the end of Oak Street that we haven't said already?
I just want to
More
say
OG dinosaur movies. More OG dinosaur movies.
Yes, let's
Bears,
do
yeah.
this.
More
Let's
horny
do
dinosaur
this.
movies too.
Yeah.
Let's
as like a dinosaur kid, I'm just so well fed. And like even with like dinosaurs that we haven't seen on the screen before, like the Allosaurus is very clearly like the T-Rex stand-in. Also for my people who went to Sundance, the Allosaurus fossil is on display in Salt Lake City's airport. So a little piece of trivia for you
hey.
there. But I like that the Coelophysis is the Velociraptor stand-in. I love that like the very liberal use of feathers. It's it's a very like big or it's a rectification, if that's a word, from Jurassic Park's very scaly dinosaurs. They tried to add a little feathery garnish in Jurassic Park 3, but that didn't really count. So just as a full-fledged paleo nerd, I'm so happy.
Yeah, I can't believe it's taken 30 plus years to finally get another good dinosaur movie.
I know, right?
It's just wild to me. I'm very harsh on my dinosaur movies, and so for me, it's Jurassic Park and then 30 years of shit. And then, so something like End of Oak Street coming out and really just making dinosaurs great again. That's really exciting for me. And I think more people need to take lessons from the things that actually make this good. And it's really just the blueprint from Jurassic Park, which is, hey, you don't actually have to show the dinosaurs all the time to make them terrifying. You can just create terrifying scenarios and watch our people try to survive. You can make it more about survival. We don't need child dinosaurs that everybody's taking care of. We just don't need these things. We don't need this superfluous bullshit that keeps getting added to this. Like, just get the grit, man. Just make it gritty and tactile and dynamic and fun, and we'll be seated. That's the way you should do dinosaurs. And it's really exciting to watch End of Oak Street kind of bring that back. I loved it. I really enjoyed that a lot.
Someone was talking earlier, I forget who, but about like the idea of like danger lurking in every corner, particularly with the way David Robert Mitchell like shoots a scene with like information in the background a lot. And I love, again, tying back to the scene with the Allosaurus and Zach's background, which is like totally like one of my favorites of the year. Before we even get to that, we see like the osteoderms on the Allosaurus's tail kind of pass through the neighborhood behind them in the background. And it's just little things like that just really ramp up that sense of paranoia. And again, after It Follows, David Robert Mitchell's very good at that. I'm just, again, thoroughly impressed.
Anybody else? Okay. And with that, this episode of the ForReel podcast is now fossil. Thank you all for joining us today. You can find me, King of Burbank, on all social media platforms in my reviews and For Real. Film Obsessive, Merry Go Round Magazine, and Professor Horror. Does everyone want to plug themselves from right to left?
Oh, right to left. Oh, right.
Left to right. Sorry, I'm sorry.
I was waiting for Derrick.
All right. No, so you guys can find me at D-Rock Comedy. It's D-R-O-K Comedy on pretty much all socials. You can find me at Derrick Murray on Facebook. I am on Facebook because I'm a 40-year-old man. And then you can also find all of my written work on That Hollywood Show and or NerdBot, as well as all of my podcast work here at ForReel.
You can find me at Luca M8A on most social media platforms. You can find my writing on ForReel, Discussing Film, Collider, Keith Loves Movies, etc., etc. And I Love Dinosaurs.
You can find my writing at ForReel and my Substack.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd, Movies W Mitch, YouTube Movies with Mitchell, and then my written work at fox19.com/Mitchell Davey.
My socials are Marty_Milkman. You can find my written work at ForReel, and I Love Pterodactyls.
Excellent. Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next time.